Alright guys, well here I have a Honda Odyssey 2004 BYBA. It's a 5-speed automatic on a Honda Odyssey. We're going to tear this thing down and we're going to see what we're going to be able to find on this thing, and I want to show you the most common issues going on with this unit, especially here in this rear drum here. 4-speed is usually second clutch failure, and on the 5-speed is usually a third clutch failure. And of course torque converter clutch and burnt torque converters. Let's go ahead and do a teardown of this unit right quick. And we're going to take all the electronics out. We have 4 shift solenoids, clutch pressure control solenoids or CPC solenoids assembly or linear solenoids. We also have a torque converter clutch linear solenoid here. We have 2 pressure switches, one here and one down here. We have 2 speed sensors, one here and another one here. This one has a temperature sensor down there and a transmission range sensor, or neutral safety switch, as a lot of people call it. And this one has the return filter mounted on top of the transmission here. Let's go ahead and begin the teardown. First, I'm going to take everything from the outside external off. Kind of pry the solenoids out a little bit. Let me get a smaller screwdriver. Here we go. Kind of like just pry them out. There's some sand and stuff on top of this transmission, but I'm not worried about it. It needs to be disassembled completely and cleaned anyways. But if you're just going to change a solenoid on the car, make sure that you at least take it to the car wash and just power wash, you know, everything. You don't want debris falling into the holes. You're going to create more problems if you do that. Let's take this lockup linear off. Now, so you keep track of your bolts. There's a lot of bolts on Hondas, so I suggest that you just kind of like put them back where they came from. That way you don't have to keep track of a lot of bolts. Okay, let's go ahead and twist this off a little bit like that. And there is a screen. And this screen gets contaminated with torque converter clutch material. And I see the fluid that is very red. Here's the screen. Sometimes you will see that screen blocked with clutch material. This one seems to be free of material there, of debris. It was having an issue in 2-3 upshift. Okay, so let's take, okay, this bolt has already been removed. It was probably removed on the removal of the transmission. Let's go ahead and take this one off. Let's take the cooler lines off. 17mm socket. Take this cooler return line fitting, remove it. Let's take these 2 off. Those 10mm bolts. Take it off from the cooler return filter. The fluid gets filtered through here, and then it gets dumped back into the transmission. And you have 2 cooler lines that go to a cooler in the radiator or a heat exchanger. 2 cooler lines going towards the radiator. Some of them have a fluid warmer or a heat exchanger on top of it mounted here. This particular vehicle has it on the radiator itself, and this is a plus because you can add an external cooler to it, and on the other ones you have to buy an adapter. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove this top bracket here. 12mm. Get this bracket, put it out of the way. Let's go ahead and get our 17mm socket again, and then we remove this here. You have 6 aluminum washers, 1 per each banjo fitting. Just keep them together. Sometimes the overhaul kit only comes with 4. Don't lose them because you're going to need them. Okay, let's go ahead and take our transmission range sensor. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to put this bolt back on there. Let's go ahead and take the range sensor cover off. This slides off. Return this to where it came out. They're all different sizes. As you see here, this one's shorter than this one, and this one is longer than that one. So once we take the little cover off, then we can put our bolts back to where they were. I mean, I know where they go, but I'm just want you to make a habit of that, especially in Hondas. That way you will know where they went. Take the range sensor off. The range sensor is a no-brainer. The bolts, because they have washers on them, so it's a no-brainer on the range sensor itself. Go ahead and put those things back on. Okay, let's take this bracket off. Get this thing out of the way. Remove this ground. Just make sure that you remember that there's a ground here. Let's put the bolt back on. Let's remove this little cover. There's another bolt down here. It goes to the range, to the temperature sensor. We're going to flip this transmission over here in a little bit. This is a pressure switch. That's actually our 3rd clutch pressure switch. This is our 4th clutch pressure switch. Let's take these 2 end cover bolts off. Now the end covers, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I mean, I'll put them all together in one pile. But the rest of the little bolts, you know, like they hold brackets and stuff like that, just keep them together. Now I'm going to flip this thing over so I can get the temperature sensor out so I won't damage it. And here is our transmission temperature sensor. Get that screwdriver back over here. Just kind of like wiggle it a little bit. Sometimes if you live like in the Rust Belt up north, some of you guys live up there, there's a lot of salt on the road. This is the bottom of the car, and that O-ring gets a little bit salt from the road when it snows, and it gets corroded and it gets real stuck in there. Sometimes you end up breaking that temperature sensor. So just keep an eye on that. All right, let's flip it over this way. Let's take our linear solenoids off. Seems like they were removed. The bolts are loose. Now these little filters, they look clear. I have another teardown video on one of the Hondas, and this was actually real plugged up. And they have little screens, and the screens goes toward the inside. Let's keep that together with that. Go ahead and take this the base of the filter. You can just prise off. Has 2 guide pins underneath it. And like I mentioned, you get corrosion underneath. Get corrosion underneath, and sometimes they get a little bit stuck, hung up. As you can see, I mean, this little dowel pin has corrosion on it. And the one with the dowel pin, it's this one. That's the one that takes the longer bolt. Okay. Now this one here is a little stuck, but we need to get that out. We don't need to lose that. Go ahead and get our dipstick tube out of the way. Remove it. Reinstall the little bolt back in there. Now you cannot fill the transmission through that dipstick tube. Actually, this is the fill plug right here. You fill the transmission up through this. You take this plug off, and then you check the level through the dipstick. All right, I'm going to take this little bracket off so that it'll be easier for me to remove that bolt. 2 12s. Get that bracket out of the way. There's a lot of parts on the outside on this unit. Once we take the end cover off in the main case, expose everything, I mean, it'll look a little bit easier. So it seems like we got everything removed from the outside. Now let's go ahead and remove these 2 pressure switches. And I can already see that this pressure switch here is not the right one, and probably not that one either. This is a new pressure switch. You would have a brown and a gray here because of their pressures. I'll talk about that later. And these pressure switches, don't put them in the parts washer. You can clean them with solvent a little bit, you know, but not in the hot tub or the spray cabinet that cleans the parts with hot water and a soap solution. You will ruin them. Now let's go ahead and take our end cover bolts, remove them. Go ahead and tap on the end cover. Tap on it to remove it from the rear of the case. Got one of the bolts fell to the floor. Here's the other long one. Here in the end cover, we have the 3rd clutch accumulator. And then we have this feed pipe that goes to the 3rd clutch. This is an added feed pipe from the 4 speed to the 5 speeds. We want to make sure that we keep all that together. Okay, using some pliers here just to get it off. I don't want this to stay on the end cover. The compressor just turned off. That's good. Just gotta be careful with this thing. Well, let's leave it on there for now. We'll worry about that later. Let's continue with the teardown. We have 2 more pipes here, feed pipes, and yeah, they are stuck as well. That means that this transmission probably overheated at some point. And as you can see, the condition of the fluid, it's brand new, so it's probably been flushed a few times to get rid of the issue that they were having. Okay, let's go ahead and remove all the 14 millimeter bolts that holds the main case to the bell housing. BYBA. BYBA, that's a, yeah, BYBA. BYBA is an Accord. BYBA, it's a Odyssey. They look identical on the outside, but they are not the same. If you try to mix them up, it will never work. They will never work. They will bind up. They will do all kinds of crazy stuff. So just pay attention to the code that you have on your transmission. Even though they look exactly the same from the outside, If there's a different ID number on it, don't even think about mixing them up. All right. Two more bolts. And just as I suspected, this transmission has been opened. The nuts are not folded in. Actually, I have two locations where they've been folded, so this transmission has been apart before. Okay, let me go get my socket here and puller so I can pull that out, and then we just go ahead and finish tearing this transmission out. Alright guys, well, I have you on top of my bench. I'm not sure if that's going to be a good idea or not. I hope that I will not trip the tripod and the camera will end up in the floor and crash into pieces. But I just want to give you guys a better shot, a better angle of this. These two nuts right here, they are left-handed. So in other words, I'm going to go like if I'm going to tighten it up so they can to remove that one. And this is a normal, you know, normal type of rotation. All right, clockwise on this one. Clockwise on this one as well. Counterclockwise. And they were a little bit tight. All right, and this drum, I'm gonna have to use. I mean, I can tap it out. I just don't want to damage it. I don't want to damage my threads on my shaft. So I couldn't find the other. I don't know what I did to it. It's here somewhere, but I'm gonna attempt to use this one here. This little puller to pull it out. Let me get this thing set up here. And I never used this one for this one. I used a cheap Harbor Freight that has a straight legs on it, and that works really, really good. I don't know what I did to it. I've been looking for it, but it's a cheap Harbor Freight one. You know, it's like 50 bucks a kit. It's like a bearing splitter, and I used the two long legs. I mean, I may not be able to do it with this one. There we go. Got it out. This is my third clutch. My third clutch. Let's get this thing out of the way. Let me take the clutches out so you can see them. This is probably our problem here, a third clutch. Not sure yet until we finish disassembling it. And the clutches, they look in very good shape. They look in very good shape. This is a carry-out unit. I'm still wondering what the issue is. It may have been just a linear solenoid problem. I don't know, I didn't scan it, but I'm going to do a tear down and see what we're going to be able to find. But normally you would find that third clutch, it's an issue, and that's normal. You will see them almost on all of them. And as you saw here, the fluid is brand new. But what you also see here is the gasket. This gasket is the factory gasket. So it could very well may be that they only remove the end cover and service that drum, which is the most common issue with these units, that one drum. Okay, so now I'm going to use this right here and two long bolts, and I'm going to take my gears out. I'm going to screw this bolt here, another one on the other side. Just make sure that I get a couple of threads there so it'll grab my gear. Once my gear is grabbed, then I'll use an impact to remove it. Okay, remove this from there. Get this other one, and then we take the one that has the parking gear out. And actually this transmission is still in park. we'll get it out of park here in a minute. All right. There we go. All right. I think it's gonna be easier to use the socket here. All the way down. These are from a old Honda transmission. These two bolts that I have here, old Honda transmission that I had laying around for parts. Okay, so now we remove our two 12mm bolts here. These two that hold our reverse idler gear. There we go. Set that over there with the rest of the bolt pile. Take the little shaft there out with the bearings for the reverse idler. Now let's get this thing out apart. Let's get our parking pole here. Remove it. Let's keep it together in one corner on the case, the stopper. And we're going to unfold. Well, look at this. It doesn't have that folding deal that the locking tab that holds it. Yeah, it's been open. I don't know how far they went to open this transmission, but I mean, they reuse these gaskets. A lot of shops, they do that. They do. They call them flat rate. They just patch them up and change clutches, and then they don't even open the valve bodies. And I mean, that's probably what's going on here. This transmission has probably been flat rated somewhere, and valve body was not removed. And as you saw some of my other videos, the little filters, they get clogged up in the valve body. And of course the transmission doesn't work. All right, I'm going to get you off my bench and put you back over here on one side of me. I don't want the camera to fall, and continue tearing down this transmission. All right, well, let's continue with this puppy here. Let's go ahead and finish disassembling it. Now a point that I want to make is that I mean, I'm doing this video here for YouTube, and if you're watching this video, it's because you're here on YouTube. And I don't know if you ever came across those transmission advertisements, the home of the 595 and stuff like that. There is no way that you can overhaul a Honda transmission, or any transmission for that matter, for that amount of money. Not a shop can do that. And I mean, I spend more than that on a Honda unit. I mean, where's the labor going to go? I mean, the way where it looks so far is probably one of them shops that, I mean, they quote real low prices, and then they can't do nothing with them and put a set of clutches in it and put it back on, give it to the customer, 30-day warranty. I mean, you get what you pay for. Let's go ahead and find out what really happened here. I already see silicone. Yeah. I mean, not even a paper and rubber rings and seals was bought to install it. So the drums were not open. I mean, looking at silicone, this gasket's come in the overhaul kit. Looking at silicone like this, new set of clutches over there. I mean, that's all they did. And some of you guys are getting into the transmission repair business or industry, and you are going to see a lot of this. And I have to tell you that sometimes it gets real fun, because sometimes they mess it up and you're the one that has to end up trying to figure out what the hell they did wrong. So if you're doing it as a hobby, I mean, it's fun as well. I mean, I like it. I love it, man. Hell yeah. All right, let's just make sure that there's no feed pipes in here. And I'm gonna get the bell housing closer for you guys to, well, let me drop that in there. That goes on the main shaft. Let's get this gear out of there as well. Anything else here? It's missing it. It's not here. Let me get the magnet out. I was gonna get the bell housing close to you. Look at this. That's metal there. That's a lot of metal. Get this here out of the way. Get my main case out of the way. There's that piece I was looking for. Let's get that out of the way. Our problem is probably not going to be on our shafts, on our drums. Maybe it is going to be there, but more than likely it's a valve body problem. It's a lot of work to remove and install one of these units. I don't know why people do that, but oh well. All right, let's take our shift fork out of the way. This is 5-speed, and if we look at this selector hub here, see that little step? That step goes up on this unit. On some units, I'm not going to say which, I don't want to confuse you guys. On some units it goes like this. Alright, on this one it goes with the step going up. Look at this. This should come off by hand. There we go. Get that out of the way. Let's get this gear out of the way too. Let's go ahead and remove our main shaft. That's my 4th and 5th gear. Let's see. Let's get that out of the way over there. Are you getting this? You're a little bit too. I got you off to the side. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get a little bit closer over here. Main shaft. Inspect your bearings. Make sure that your gears are good. And this one, they are good. Keep them all in one place. I'm going to keep my main shaft on this side. Let me go ahead and disassemble my 4th and 5th frictions. See what they look like. These are the factory frictions, and you can see that they are discolored. It was heating up a little bit, but I don't see it on the friction, so they probably had a big pile of factory frictions and patch it. Get a cushion plate there, over there. Same thing here. The frictions they look okay, but the steels are burned. They're not burned up, you know, you can still clean that up. But what I'm saying is that they used used clutches for that. Let's get our 1st and 2nd. On our secondary shaft. Oh, let's get this. Sorry about that. It gets sweat and transmission fluid. Your tools get slippery. Yeah, no overhaul kit was used. These O-rings here, they're flat. They're not even an O-ring anymore. If I can get this closer, I hope that it'll start picking that up. There we go. They are flat. And you can see that the shaft just slid out on its own. Forward frictions. These are burnt. No. The steels are burnt, but the frictions, they still look in good shape. low coast, aftermarket frictions, second clutch, aftermarket as well. Looks like at least these in the low coast were installed on this unit. That's probably the original issue that he had before. And if you don't open that, the valve body, you're going to be in the same place you were before. Get the differential assembly out of the way. Are you guys seeing this good? Let me see. Flip it a little bit this way. Let's go ahead and remove the filter. Well, I'm going to remove first the this part here, the one that holds the fork. I'm going to put this on this side. Remove the filter. And yeah, I can't see a lot, but I can see grayish metal in there. No, it gets worse. On the camera it gets worse if I shine the light on it. You can't see it. I can, but the camera can't. Let's take the fifth and low hole accumulator and remove it. Get this thing out. We have our fifth accumulator is the big one, and then we have the low hole accumulator. Let me see, where's the dowel pins? Oh, right here. I want to keep this together. Put this on the side. Let's see if we can find anything else here wrong with it. Accumulator, first accumulator and second accumulator. Pressure regulator valve body. We have our screen and it's clear. It's not plugged up. Yeah, it's just, that one is stuck. I can feel drag here on my converter clutch valve. I don't have the torque converter with me. I don't know what it looks like. I just got the transmission in. It's a carry-out unit. With all that metal, that torque converter is probably no good. First and second accumulator. Go ahead and take this guide pin off. The other one's stuck on the case. Okay, that's okay. No problem there. Any debris on the plate? No, I don't see any debris on the plate. Yeah, they're stuck. Let's take the reverse servo valve body off. And here we're going to have two clutch pressure control valves. The ones that the clutch pressure control solenoid controls. Sometimes you will have a clutch pressure control solenoid symptom where actually the valves are the ones that are hung up, and they are closed. They're not open. I've seen them stuck completely open, and they are not dragging. Okay, let's go ahead and put this to the side. Let's get our main valve body. There's another filter here, and it doesn't look restricted either. So far, my conclusion is, with those old gaskets, that the overhaul kit or no O-rings were installed. Having issues cold, maybe it'll get better hot. That's the way old O-rings behave. Get this torque converter check valve out. Check ball locations on a 5-speed. On the 5-speed automatic BYBA or BYBA, you have one check ball here on this location. Make it closer. One check ball here, and then you have another check ball over here with a spring on top. So there is 2 locations for a check ball. One here, and they're both the same size. All right, get this thing out of the way. Look at our pump gears. These pump gears look good, but let's look at where they work on the valve body. Let's look at the valve body itself. And usually, when the valve body is bad, you will see some score marks. And this one here, I mean, it's very shiny and very, very smooth. Sometimes they get warped. We just got to measure it, you know, and just make sure that it's no more than 0.2 of an inch. If it's 1 or 0.2 of an inch, it's okay. If it's more than 0.2 of an inch, there you're going to have some pressure loss. These dowel pins, I mean, they should come off by hand on its own. Having an issue here getting them out. There's like fine metal, fine debris on this on the whole unit. I mean, there's fluid going down. Man, I hope that it'll pick it up on the camera. There's some metal sliding down. Real small particles of metal sliding down. Well, we have a bad converter. We're going to need to put an overhaul kit anyways on this thing. Clutches, all the paper rubber rings, the seals, all the frictions, and do a complete overhaul. In other words, you know, do this thing right, make it last, fix the converter burn up issue. I mean, I've been using the TransLab kit. It works very well. I also recommend, besides recommending the TransLab from Superior, I recommend all the Sonics parts. And I used to do a line to converter charge hole. I mean, if you want to not spend the money, I mean, you could do that. I mean, it works good, but I would recommend for you just to buy the parts. I mean, I'm in no way associated with any of those guys, but I've used their products and they work for me. And whatever works for me and I feel comfortable, I will recommend you guys using it. All right, well, I mean, this is just a basic teardown of Odyssey transmission. And the work that was done before, I mean, whoever did the work, they just patched it up. Probably reran the same converter. But once I get this thing done, I mean, I'll get with the shop that they send me this transmission, and I'll probably go over there and just recheck, make sure everything's okay. All right, well, you know the drill. Subscribe, like, and once you're in my channel, I mean, there's some other guys who want to share some videos with you guys, and I got a feature channel set. Check those guys out. All right, thanks for watching.